I think most kids are in the same, but I don't know anybody who's who's at school who knows 100% what they want to do. And you're right about there being a lot of pressure on people.
Yeah.
I remember having to go to career guidance meetings where they'd be like, right, so what do you want to do after you leave? And I was like, well, I really don't know. I mean, I remember my earliest memory of what I really wanted to do, and I would still love to do it if the opportunity came along, was be an astronaut. I always remember when I was a kid, I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be an astronaut when I grow up, and I think if the opportunity came, I would jump at it because I love that stuff too. But
yeah.
Yeah, that was. I remember saying that to the guidance counsellor as well, and I was like, "I want to be an astronaut." And they were like, "Right, maybe pick something a wee bit more realistic." But
yeah, my first memory of the job I wanted was I used to watch like the Generation Game and all that, and I loved all that. And it was like all the girls that were dancing on that type of show. That's what I wanted to be. I was like, I want to be a dancer.
Fantastic.
The guidance counsellor stuff, and they were like, what do you want to do? And they used to give you these program things where you had to like pick what your strengths and weaknesses were. And like one of the things I remember I ticked was that I'm not very good at phones because I have 2 hearing aids. I don't really like doing the phone. It's difficult. I struggle to hear. And the thing was just like, oh well, maybe you should work on that. And I'm like, oh my god, it's not disabilities at all. It's just sort of like, no, brush that under the table. And you're like, I always remember that. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, and then the guidance counsellor, you did this, I can't really remember now exactly what it was, but you did this questionnaire thing, and at the end of it printed out like all these jobs that they think you'd be suited to. There was like 100 jobs, and most of them were like absolutely nothing that you're interested in whatsoever.
No.
Heard of, and you're like, hey.
Yeah.
I was the same as you. They would take a note. They'd be like, so tell me your strengths and weaknesses, and then they would print off all these different jobs for you. And I remember reading the list going, oh my god, life after school sounds terrible if this is all like these jobs sound awful, it's
yeah. So maybe you could tell us now your second choice of your songs.
Yeah, so my second choice of song is a brilliant song. I love it. It's probably one of my favourite songs as well. It's a song called Comfortably Numb by the band Pink Floyd. They're a sort of old 60s, 70s band. Fantastic. And the reason I picked this song is because when I was learning the guitar, one of my sort of guitar heroes, and he still is to this day, is David Gilmour. I remember listening to his guitar playing in songs like Comfortably Numb and Another Brick in the Wall and Wish You Were Here, all these kind of songs, and listening to his guitar playing, I was just absolutely blown away how anybody could do that on a guitar, and it was just absolutely amazing. And I think you listen to the guitar solo in that song particularly, and even to this day I listen to it and I'm just like, wow, that is just, it blows me away every single time. I've probably heard the song hundreds if not thousands of times, and every time I hear it, it's just like, wow, that is just like, how can anybody be that good,
Yeah.
So you've not just tried to play that song?
Sorry, what was that?
You've not tried to play that song then?
I have actually. I put a video online. Actually, I was on Twitter a couple of weeks back of attempting to play it, but it was nowhere
I have
near.
To go and find it so I can link it now.
Yeah.
No,
I think I saw it actually.
Yeah, but, nowhere near as good as David Gilmour. It was like a sort of cheap knockoff version of his version of it, but yeah.
Yeah, they were a huge band, weren't they?
Oh, they were amazing. Absolutely brilliant.
Cool. So that again, this link will be at the end of the YouTube to play that song. So how did you get involved in the getting 6,000 followers on Twitter and things like that? How did you get?
I to this day, I still have no idea why so many people follow me. I'm like, what? I'm like, what have I done? I still can't quite wrap my head around it, really. But I think when I got involved in the disability campaign and stuff, I've always tried to be a sort of champion for, disability rights. And I've always been somebody who's wanted to help make the world a bit more accessible and inclusive, not just for disabled people, but for everyone. And I think there was one particular incident that kind of kicked off my campaign and got me heavily involved in it. It was a couple of years ago now. They redeveloped one of the streets here in Perth called Mill Street into what's known as a shared space. And for anybody who doesn't know what a shared space is, it's where they've taken, they've basically flattened out the whole surface. So the pavement and the road is all just one level surface, and drivers and people can go wherever they want. There's no delineation between people, drivers and cyclists and whatnot. It's just basically a free-for-all. And I remember coming onto this new development in my local area, and I was just like, wow, this is quite frightening, because I'm right up near traffic, and there's my guide dog doesn't know where to stop because there's no curbs.
Yeah.
There's no designated crossing points, and it's a reasonably busy street as well. And there's quite a number of different car parks on that street as well, so which makes it equally more traffic than people going about. But the traffic the cars just have more freedom because there's no pavements there, so they can sort of cut corners or drive wherever they wanted, basically. And I was like, wow, this is a really frightening experience in a street that used to be, quite accessible to me. So all I done was I stood there and I sort of took a photograph with my phone of the street. And then I think later that night I posted the photo on Twitter, and I sort of explained why these shared spaces just don't work for disabled people. And the tweet I remember it was late one night I put the tweet up, and by the next morning I remember looking at my phone having all these notifications that the tweet had just gone viral,
Yeah.
I'd never experienced anything like that before. I was like, wow, people seem to be really quite shocked by this. And then the local council here, Perth and Kinross Council, got in touch. Guide dogs got in touch. The local VI centre here, Vision PK, they got involved, and then it got picked up by some media as well. So I did interviews with sort of local press about it, and then I got it eventually led to me having meetings with some of the local MSPs in the area. Then I was invited to the Scottish Parliament to a meeting with Mark Ruskell, who's one of the local MSPs here in Perth as well. So it kind of all snowballed from there, really. And then I started sort of after that. I sort of started tweeting about and getting involved in various other campaigns. One of the sort of big ones being, guide dog access refusals and things like, got involved in things like that. And I think over the space of a couple of years, because I've been quite active in it, and it's been something I'm quite passionate about, and I really want to help solve these issues. And I've been quite persistent with people about it, and I think it just kind of gained some attention from that. And I think I've sort of built, because I've been doing it for a number of years now, I think I've built up some contacts who now, occasionally I'll get an email from a journalist saying, "Oh, can you give us a quote on for this story?" And I'm like, I don't even know what to start. I need to go and read what the story's about first to be able to get a quote. You know, I'm like, wow, just give me a second here. So it has been quite ever since the sort of issue with Mill Street in Perth. It's been really crazy. It really has. It's been a bit of a wild ride.
So how long ago was the Mill Street incident?
That must have been, I want to say early 2019 maybe.
All right, yeah, because
so about two years ago maybe.
Not that long really at all, is it?
No, not really. No, not at all.
It's good though that
problem those kind of streets though, because they put one in Raploch about maybe 4 or 5 years ago now as well, and there's been quite a lot, and it's a really busy road because people use that as a thoroughfare to basically skip the street that's got a Sainsbury's on it. So people use that road, and yet you can as much as you please.
Total nightmare.
Yeah.
You know, I would love to know whoever thought the design of these streets was a good idea, you know, because they're just not. And then you've got so many councils who are approving the designs as well, and just like, you know,
basically the public look good. It's like that's all that really seems to matter. Oh, that looks really nice.
That looks really nice. Yeah, that's what you get.
But I think it's good. Like it showed that from a person with a visual impairment perspective and how inaccessible it is. So that's so good that why it went so viral.
Yeah, and you know, I've tried to make the point, not just to Perth and Kinross Council, but to all councils, and that the only way streets are going to be designed inclusively is if you bring disabled people into the conversation at the development stage.
Yeah.
So when you're planning a new street design, because I've always said I'm not against change. You know, I understand that streets need. I understand completely that streets need to be, you know, revamped and redeveloped, and I'm fine with that. But you know, bring us in to the consultation stage, at the development stage. Say, right, okay, what needs to happen here to make it inclusive? You know.
Yeah.
And that just isn't happening at the moment. As much as they say it is, it's not.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got a shared surface in Stirling Town Centre, and for some random weird reason, it's got a tactile pavement on it. It's like, well, what's that for?
Same with the one in Perth. You're just like, it's just a bit of tactile pavement in the middle of the development. You're like, okay, well, why? You know, why is
that's
it there?
why they've made it accessible, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when did you get what year did you get is this Sam your second guide dog?
Yeah. So Sam's my second guide dog. I was paired with my first guide dog in 2015, I think it was. 2015 was I had a yellow lab retriever cross called Zorba, and he was incredible. I actually he was trained over with guide dogs, not Guide Dogs Scotland, but guide dogs in Northern Ireland.
All right.
So when I went on the residential training, I had to go over to Belfast for the training, for the 2 weeks training, which was quite exciting.
Quite a journey.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, to get a flight over to Belfast from Edinburgh Airport to go for it, and that was a whole new experience, you know, because it sounds great and it sounds quite fancy. Oh, you get to Belfast for 2 weeks for training, but as you know yourself, the training is really quite intense. And
it is very,
and quite tough going, you know, and you know. But I always found, even when I was on class with Sam, you know, when it gets to sort of 5-6 p.m. at the end of the day, you're just knackered. You know, you just wanna have a lie down or something. But yeah. So I was paired with my first guide dog in 2015, I think it was.
And now you've got Sam, so
I've got Sam. Yeah, I was paired with him because my first guide dog Zorba, he was withdrawn as well.
Oh, was he?
Because he was actually attacked by another dog, and after that he kind of got really. He was fine with sort of bigger dogs around sort of his size or bigger, but if he came across, you know, little yappy dogs like terriers or poodles or that, he would get really anxious because he was actually it was a little poodle that had bit his back leg and it attacked him, so he got really anxious and he would start growling and snarling at them and barking at them. And you know, guide dogs, to their credit, did a lot of work with them. You know, he went sort of back to one of the GDMIs to try and do a sort of bit of rehabilitation training around little dogs. But I think because it was so embedded in his mind, there was just no way out of it for him, sadly. But and then so it was 2017. Yeah, I think it was 2017, or was it 2018? Can't remember. I'm sure it was 2017 though. That I was pretty sure it was 2017. I was paired with Sam.
So you didn't have Zorba for long then at all, really?
No, I had Zorba for, it was only about 2 years. About 2 years, yeah.
It's a real shame, isn't it?
It is. It was a real shame, and because they said to me at the time that, you know, he probably could have continued if my sight was a bit better, because I would be able to see like if there was little dogs coming or that, but because my sight had, you know, almost gone completely at that point, it just wasn't possible because I couldn't judge when there was going to be a sort of incident. So that's when they made the sort of the tough decision to withdraw him. And you know, they didn't make that decision without sort of consulting me first. They didn't just phone me up and say he's going to be withdrawn. They sort of talked me through it and sort of, you know, they were really, really good about it. You know, they sort of brought me into the conversation around it and sort of advised that was probably the right thing to do for his sake as well, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of a mutual thing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably another why there should be more sort of awareness of like other people with their dogs around guide dogs, because you know, their dog's working.
Yeah, I know.
They should know not to let their dog get too close to that other dog, because you know, you don't know how your dog, like I've got quite a wee dog, he does get spooked by other dogs sometimes if they're bigger or if they back up or if he knows that they're aggressive. And it's like, you know, to keep them away from that, but then I have the sight to do that, whereas somebody else with a small dog should be like, oh, I should really keep that away from another dog, that dog's working, we should really keep it away. But there's not really that like wide awareness of that sort of behaviour.
No, I know,
and it's becoming you see quite a lot of like media reports around sort of, you know, attacks on not just guide dogs, but, you know, assistance dogs and that as well. And I think there was a law passed in Scotland, was it at the beginning of this year? I think it was in January, that's supposed to bring in more protection for assistance dogs and working dogs, which include like police dogs. It was based on the you've probably seen it, the Finn's Law campaign, about the police dog who was sort of attacked a few years ago, and he was attacked by, you know, a criminal. He was stabbed, and it was really heartbreaking. But the criminal couldn't get charged for assault or anything because animals were treated as inanimate objects, so it was almost like just damaged property. And I think that it was awful. And I think the police handler, the dog handler, was just like, this isn't right.
No,
and he went on a massive UK-wide campaign to try and sort of change the laws in the UK and and obviously in the devolved administrations as well around the UK. And I think now they've all agreed, I think all governments in the UK have agreed to implement this law where, you know, the animals are treated as sentient beings rather than, you know, property, or which is the way it absolutely should be, you know.
Yeah, totally, yeah. Yeah, my first guide dog, she was attacked as well, but she wasn't working at the time. She was just on a lead walk with my dad, but it was the similar thing. It was a dog ran at her from behind and bit her legs as well, but she luckily was fine. She, you know, it didn't affect her in any way at all, so I was lucky in that respect.
It's awful. It's frightening as well, you know, especially when you can't see and there's another dog that runs up to your dog, and it's frightening, you know. And I think obviously it has, you know, impacts on the dog and that, but I think there's not enough emphasis on how it also impacts the person, the you know, the guide dog owner as well, you know, because it is quite distressing, especially if you can't see. It's really really quite frightening, isn't it?
And disorientating, and just
definitely
you feel kind of helpless because you don't know what to do.
Do anything. You don't want to put your hand down and you know, risk getting bitten or whatever. You know, it's really not a nice situation.
It's the same when you were saying about, you know, doing campaigning for guide dog refusals. That's a bit the same. Like when that happens, you just feel terrible.
Oh,
like you get refused entry to a restaurant or something, and it's like you just feel like, I can't explain it. You just feel belittled, and
you really do.
Yeah, and it's like, why can't it come in? One place I went to, they told me I could leave her outside, and it's like, this dog's a £50,000 dog. I'm hardly going to leave her outside.
That's like saying to a wheelchair user, you can come in but leave your wheelchair at the door.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I get so infuriated when I hear things like that, you know. And that was one of the sort of campaigns that I've started doing recently, is because, you know, you see it every so often, you know, various charities will come up with a new Access All Areas campaign or whatever, and then there's a bit of campaigning about it, but nothing ever really gets done about it.
Yeah.
Never seems to really lead anywhere. So I think it must have been back in January, I think I said, right, I want to get RNIB, I want to get guide dogs, I want to get anyone who's got a solution to this. I've got Chris Fry, who's a lawyer who specialises in equality in that, and I sort of brought this group of people together and created like a group of different organisations who can maybe look at this issue and get a combined approach, because I sometimes feel like guide dogs are doing one thing, RNIB are doing something else. And there's not one streamline, there's not one way of dealing with an access refusal. You know, every place has a complaints procedure, and when you experience an access refusal, the damage is already done there in the moment.
Yeah.
And there's so many refusals that actually go unreported as well, because it's a distressing situation, and it's a long process to go through to get any resolution from it, and you're just having to relive a really bad experience for such a long time. So I do think it's about time that something's done about this issue, because I mean, you've probably seen it yourself. Since the first lockdown ended, you know, in the summertime last year, access refusals seem to be, you know, becoming a lot more frequent. There was at one point you were seeing a new access refusal story in the media, and almost on a weekly basis. It was getting to a boiling point. So I do think it's definitely something that needs, an issue that sort of really needs to get tackled, rather than just talking about it. I think it's time that you actually do something about it.
Yeah, well, I wish you all the best with that.
No, thank you. Thank you
for on behalf of all guide dog owners.
Well, I just think it's about time that something's done about it, you know.
Yeah.
So hopefully it leads to a positive outcome.
Yeah.
Try my best anyway.
So I'm excited about your third song choice because this song I really, really like. So tell us all what this one is. And you could sing it if you like.
I'm not going to sing it. My singing, I think it would turn off your listeners. I think people would switch off, I think. But no, my third song choice is a song that I absolutely love. It's a song called Three Little Birds by Bob Marley. And it's a song that I think, if you've had a really, really bad day, or you're just feeling a bit down and you put this song on, and I think it just reminds you, it reminds me anyway, every time I listen to it, that no matter what you're going through, no matter what you've been through, it might, like, times might feel tough even right now with the lockdown and the pandemic, but in the end, everything's just going to be okay. Everything seems to, I mean, I've gone through some really, really tough times in my life. But in the end, once you get through them, everything eventually is okay again. So I think it's just having that and it's a really positive, upbeat, happy song, and it just makes it reminds you that, everything will be okay. Everything will be okay, no matter how unlikely it might seem at the time that, you listen to that song. And I think Bob Marley himself had a really sort of positive, upbeat attitude about life. And I think that's something I've probably taken away from that song in my own life, because I'm all about positivity and being positive about everything that I do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know, I love it. I think it's a brilliant song.
Yeah, it's a good song. Yeah, so that can be your strapline in life. Every little thing's going to be all right.
Absolutely, yeah, that's a good idea.
Cool. So I can't remember, was there anything else I think I was going to ask you about? It was we covered your guide dogs and all your social media. Is there anything else that you can think of that you'd like to tell us or talk about?
No, I think you've covered pretty much everything there.
Yeah. Life up to now anyway.
yeah, definitely. See what the future brings.
Yeah, more adventures
no doubt.
once lockdown is over.
No doubt about that.
Well, thanks very much for coming on. Enjoyed
No, thank
you.
Absolute honour to be invited on. Thank you.
Maybe we'll see you. You can come along to the Century Centre once we open up. And
oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Have you been to the centre before?
I have. Yeah, I've been once or twice to the cafe at the Sensory Centre, and once when I used to work at RNIB, I actually used to go along to a couple of meetings at the Sensory Centre as well. And it's an amazing facility. It really is.
Yeah.
I've always loved what you guys do at the Sensory Centre. It really is fantastic.
Well, we've now updated the centre last summer, wasn't it, Lindsay? Redeveloped the whole technology hub. So
yes, the technology hub is all new. Nobody's really got much chance.
I know.
To use it yet. A couple of people had a chance to do that. And the cafe was open at the tail end of last year, but it would be lovely to get people back in. So one day when we're open again, you can come and experience our lovely new tech hub.
I absolutely will. I absolutely will. Once we're sort of reopened again, I'll definitely come down to the Sensory Centre again.
Great.
Well, I look forward to seeing you then.
Yeah, no, I look forward to meeting you in person.
Yeah. Good. Okay, well, thank you very much.
No, not at all. Thank you. Thank you.
Say bye for now.
Yeah. Bye.
Say bye, everyone.
Welcome to Forth Valley Sensory Centre, where we support people with sensory loss. The centre provides a wide range of groups and classes, helps people access digital technology, and how to save money on their fuel bills. If you have a sensory loss or know someone who does, then please get in touch.